guys, for today's video we'll talk about spouse visa for self-employed. My husband will be the one to talk about it. Okay.
Yes, just wanted to do a video about category F and G, about self-employed spouse visa, mainly because when I was doing the application I could not find much information on the self-employed, especially limited company. I was a limited company. Very difficult to find information on it online on YouTube, and also there's a couple of areas which are quite complicated, confusing, and there's a couple of areas that don't make much sense unless you do some research. So what I'm going to do actually is going to go via the application process directly from the government website. So this is from the www. As you can see on the screen, .gov.uk website. This is where I recommend it before you get most of your information from, really. Otherwise, if you're going through the forums and you start asking too many questions from the forums, it gets pretty confusing. So yeah, I'm just going to go through this. Let's see, I'm directly on the page now, family visas. You can obviously go down. What we're talking about today is give proof of your income. So I'm going to go through to that. Now, it's a bit more simple actually if you're employed. If you're employed, it's a lot more simple. We need the 18,600 a year, and you show your pay slips, your bank statements. I mean, it's still, not by far not easy, but self-employed in particular, you just it's another level. It's another level of complication. So you go down to this here. It tells you all about the pay slips, being employed, the detailed guidance. So it's about mostly sort of halfway down the page. Detailed guidance. You press on that. Now this is really sort of the important document, really, when you're looking for your visa information. Now we're looking for self-employed, so that says here page 58. So we're going to throw on page 58. Now this video is going to cover both sole trader and limited company. But I mean they're similar, but there are differences, and I would say limited company is more complicated, more documents needed. Where are we? So we're just gonna, but yeah, pretty similar documents needed. But I was limited company. So first you got category F, and then you got category G. Now the only main difference between these two, as it says here, really, is if one takes the last financial year and the other one takes the average of 2 financial years. So obviously it's far more simpler if you can do it in the last full financial year. The only reason I think you would do it category G is if last year you earned below the 18,600, but the year before you earned quite a bit more, like 30,000, and they would actually take the average of the two. Then you could actually qualify then if you took the average of the last 2 years. So what we're looking for, I'm going to go through all the documents that they asked for. So here we go. So they're the sole trader ones, 9.6. I'm going to start with the director, what I was, and then we're going to go back to the sole trader and any differences. Like I say, I was limited company, so that's what I know most about. But I have also been a sole trader many years ago as well, so I do know a bit about both of them. So here we go. We've got all of the following must be provided. This is 9.8. Now, company tax return, CT 600. Now, this is the first point of confusion, really, for some people, especially if you're actually not the company director. If it's a spouse who's applying for this, it'd be I think it'd be too complicated really to do. I think the person who's a director, the husband or the wife, who's actually the owner of the business, needs to do it. I mean, because you start looking. I mean, if you're just a layman, you'd be confused already. Company tax return and the difference between a company tax return CT 600 and a self-assessment. I mean, people, even sort of directors, it's quite confusing, some of this. So CT 600, the first bit of confusion can be where your self-assessment obviously runs from the 6th of April to the 5th of April every year. That's what they would ask for. But the start of your CT 600, your corporation tax return, starts when the company was formed. So my company was formed in October. So my company tax year runs from October to October, not from April to April, as some people get confused about. They get a bit confused about self-assessment, what's required. But again, if you're going directly from this website, it's quite clear really what they're asking for. So they're asking for a CT 600. Right, now that's a little bit of a add-on there, and evidence. It's been filed with HMRC. So I asked my accountant for that. I just got a little receipt that I've received it. And now, next one. Evidence of registration with Registrar of Companies at Companies House. Now, my company, nearly 15 years old. So to try and find, evidence of registration, I had to go through quite a few documents actually in the end. But actually, I did find it in the end. But that's the original document from 15 years ago. They sent me certificate. And I'm not sure if you can get a replacement if you'd lost that. You'd have to, wouldn't you? I mean, if you did lose that, you'd have to try and get a replacement. That's why some of the documents are quite difficult. 15-year-old document original, to try and dig that out, your files. Now, if your company is required to produce annual audited accounts, this is a part that most people are going to be under, really. Because most people are going to be sort of unaudited, smaller businesses. I mean, you're only going to be audited if you're quite a big business, really. So in that case, if you're unaudited, you're going to need an accountant certificate of confirmation. Now, this is a bit confusing because it's not really an official title or anything. It doesn't really exist, really. If you ask your accountant for a certificate of confirmation, they're probably going to give you a bit of a blank look, because unless they've had to write to help someone else out with a spouse visa, it's not really an official document. I think it's just something that immigration have kind of come up with their own term for it. But it's just quite simple. It's just a letter from the accountant saying that they've written. I can put a template on the comments. That they've done the accounts, and it's true to the best of their knowledge. And I added on just to write in there and confirm, my profit, to make sure that they confirm that my profit was over the 18,000. Now, this is a little bit of an extra bit as well. Accountant who is a member of a UK recognised supervisory body. So you've got to be a little bit careful here, because there's quite a few people who have an accountant, and like me when I applied, I wasn't sure. To be honest, I wasn't sure if he was on this list or UK recognised body. Thankfully, he was. You can find out on the internet. It's something like the ACCA, Association of Chartered Accountants. Just got to make sure he's got that on there. Get him to put a little logo, make sure a logo or something that states he is a member of one of these recognised bodies. Now, bank statements, yeah, okay, covering the same 12-month period as the tax return. So that's your tax return, that's your CT 600. Yeah, nothing to do with self-assessment. Just CT 600. So what I did is, and it does say somewhere else in this document, what they don't want to be copies, bank printouts. They've got to be original paper copies. So I went to my bank, I got them to print out, and also a letter from my bank saying these were authentic. A current appointment report from Company's House. Yeah, I'll put a link down on the comment on the description below as well. You just print one off. I think you have to pay quite a small fee if you do it directly from the government website. It's not very much, but there is another one where you can get it for free. Just saves you a few pounds. I'll put the link on downstairs. It's quite a short document. Just shows you who the director is really, and I think it just proves to the immigration that it exists. It helps them to prove that. Now, this is where it gets a bit more confusing as well. One of the following documents must also be provided. A certificate. Can't see that at all. It's a certificate of VAT registration. Now, this can be because they want at least one of these documents. Now, I wasn't VAT registered, so I didn't have that. Proof of ownership of lease of business premises. Now, I didn't have business premise, so I didn't have that. So it only left me with original proof of registration with HMRC as an employer for the purpose of PAYE and national insurance. PAYE reference number and accounts office reference number. A bit of a mouthful. Now, original proof of registration. I went through all my documents. I couldn't find anything really that particularly stated that they sent me like a certificate or anything like that, and I'm pretty sure they didn't. So it's very ambiguous again, exactly what they want. What I did find is an employer's payslip booklet, and it showed all these things on there. It showed national insurance number, my pay reference number, and my accounts office reference number. And I looked through the forums, and it looked like other people had done a similar thing or used that booklet. It's a yellow booklet that you get when you first open up your limited company. If you've lost that, again, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You'd have to try and get a replacement, I think. You'd have to try, good luck with that. You'd have to try and get one from HMRC, I think that's it. I mean, they should give you one. And hopefully you would find something that does show all these things on there. This wasn't perfect because it wasn't really original proof of registration. But I mean, as far as I was aware, I didn't have anything like that which showed all these things on there. As a little added extra, they ask for this as a certified copy. So take it to the post office, get it certified. Certified copy, get it from the post office is probably the best and cheapest way of doing that. Can go to a solicitor, much more expensive to get things certified. Post office, cheapest place, and quite easy as well. Right, next bit. Where the person listed as a director and or employee of the company or both, which is going to be most directors, because almost all directors take a salary and a dividend. So in that case, pay slips and P60 again covering the CT 600. This is another big problem people have, because like I said on a different video, your pay slips and your dividends need to match up with your bank statements. So the evaluation officer is going to be looking at your amount in your bank statement matches the amount and the date in your pay slips. Now, for directors, this can be a big problem, because it doesn't really matter to a director when really he pays himself. It's of no real consequence. So what I have seen in forums is that directors who are a little bit sloppy, let's put it that way, and they haven't paid themselves on a set date every single month. Is it paid on? That's what the evaluation officer is looking at. A set date, normally the end of the month, 28 in my case, every single month. Now, it's quite common for a director to not have done this. They've got different amounts. Some people I've seen on forums didn't pay themselves a wage at all. So I mean, if someone watching this has done that and haven't actually paid themselves a set wage every month, you can apply, but I think it is going to be a reason for refusal, really, if you haven't got any of the amounts that match your bank statements. And mine wasn't perfect. I had a couple of PAYE payment amounts were a few days late, but all I did was actually explained it, said obviously it's of no consequence to myself when I pay myself. So some of the dates are slightly out, and actually what I did to make it easy for the officer is I highlighted in a different highlighter pin on the bank statements. I highlighted in pink, I think, the PAYE payments, pay slips, and I've highlighted in green your dividend amounts. So I mean, this whole video is going to be very confusing for it. It's only really aimed for directors, because it's, otherwise you're not really going to know dividends, payment amounts. This is really directed for those few people like myself, directors or sole traders. Very similar process. I mean, just make it easy for the officer, really. Highlight them, explain everything. If your date is wrong or incorrect date in your bank statement doesn't quite match up with your pay slip or your dividend, just explain it and highlight it. I think the main problem comes when people don't explain anything. They're a bit complacent, and they just send off without explaining anything. You seem to get two different scenarios, really, with people. Two types of different people. By looking at the forums, people that really get concerned and worry about little things, a little bit like I did. And you get other people who are a bit complacent. Maybe it's because they earn way above the 18,000, they might earn 80,000. And they think, oh, well, they're obviously going to see that I earn it well above. They can see that on the bank statements, they can see it on my dividends, and they get a bit complacent. Thing is, well, obviously they're going to approve this visa. It doesn't quite work like that. The officer has to tick boxes and make sure everything fits up and agrees that they're just doing their job, and they don't want to get in trouble, and they've got to make things fit. So don't be too complacent. Just go explain everything. Also, you're going to need a full years of accounts, unfortunately. If you just started your business up 6 months ago, and you haven't got the full years of accounts, I would wait until the next year. I've looked into it. I don't think there's any way of getting around that. You're going to need a full years of accounts. Again, people have tried and they've just been refused, and it's very expensive, especially if you're involving dependents, because you're paying double. Just talking thousands of pounds. But you don't want to be wasting that kind of money. Where the person received dividends, again, dividend vouchers. Dividend vouchers, directors will know again what it means. You can get a template. Either you're going to be sent these from your accountant, hopefully, or you can write your own. Loads of different templates, very simple, really. Big problem with what they ask for in this, actually. Big problem. What they ask for. Showing the company's and the person's details with the person's net dividend amount and tax credit. Now, tax credits were, this is pretty shocking mistake really by this website and the immigration system, because tax credits were abolished in 2016, so it wouldn't actually be possible for a director to have a dividend voucher from post 2017 onwards that showed them having tax credits. So all I had to put, I put the dividends about again. I had to explain really. I can't send anything with tax credits because they were abolished in 2016, and this document I see was made in August 2017. So they really should have updated their information. That's wrong, and they've been made aware of this. And it's for such an important document and spouse visa, getting families together, and they've made this mistake very confusing for people. Really shocking. But there we go. Just be aware of that. Personal bank statements, again, similar. 12 months, showing the dividends. Evidence of ongoing employment as a director. Yeah, I mean, it's just pay. So mine was October to October. So I applied about February, so I had to show an extra 3 months of pay slips. Oh, 4 months, 3 or 4 months. Dividend vouchers, that's what you do with that. And that's it. That's it there for the financials. I go back to the sole trader, but it's actually very similar. So evidence amounts. This is for sole trader. 9.6 evidence of the amount of tax payable, paid and unpaid. It'll be on your accounts. Also be on a receipt from Inland Revenue. Tax return. The following documents the last financial year, or the last 2 years. That's category G. Yeah, okay, yeah, very similar. And in your self-assessment tax return, that's where it's a bit different. So they're asking there for your self-assessment tax return. So that's your CA 300. That's where it's different to your director limited company, because the CT 600, where this is a SA 300. Some people get confused with that. Proof of registration, again. I mean, thankfully, this one does say if available. You can't find that original proof. Each partner GP tax retain yeah. Bank statements again. That's got to cover your self-assessment. Yeah, personal again. It always goes scanned in. There's no original documents sent off. It's all scanned in through the website. I explained on the spouse visa, a couple of issues with that. But hopefully they've been ironed out a bit now, because it has been up and running for quite a few months now. So when I was using it, it's crashing a lot of errors. Hopefully it's a bit better now. Yep, bank statements. Again, this is for sole trader. Again, very similar. You're going to need an accountant from like the ACCA or UK recognised body. VAT registration. Again, some of these might be difficult to find if you're not VAT registered. Yeah, and we're looking for evidence to show appropriate planning permission. You just have one of those franchise agreements. So yeah, that's covered. This is directly from the government website. So I mean, this is the best place to get all your information from. So it lists there. I pointed out a couple of issues with it, but people always ask on the forums, what's required. I mean, this is the best place to get it. This is coming directly from the government, so this is what they ask for. I mean, it's best not to ask too many questions on the forums because they come out with things that aren't on this list. This is the government list. This is what they're asking for. Go straight to this as your main source. So I hope it's helped someone. Even if it helps a couple of people, I'll be happy with that. Some of these questions I came up with problems and I wasn't sure what to do. And thankfully, obviously, I was approved. Yeah, don't worry. As I say before, you look on the forums and people have these. You read these horror stories, really, of people getting refused for very minor things, like one payslip a few out of date. Oh, I've been refused because my payslip was a few days out. And when you look into it, actually, there's a few other reasons, really, why they were refused. It wasn't just because of one very minor thing. So the evaluation officer does have some leeway. That's my impression of it. And my application wasn't perfect. I just explained everything. So don't worry too much. Just get these documents together. And yeah, good luck. And hope it's helped someone. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, you can start now. It's actually on there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
don't know how to do it otherwise. Unless it shows that screen, which looks very strange, isn't it? So I think it's better if we like that.
Okay.
Oh, I'll just go with that actually. There we go.
Okay na?
Okay.
Hi guys, for today's video,